Before I play the president's press conference and comment as we go, I want to just give a thumbs down to CNN. It was some of the worst coverage I've ever seen them do. And I was actually embarrassed for them. Like one of the headlines across the screen, fires break out in Ferguson, Missouri. Was this spontaneous combustion? Criminals set fire to buildings. Fires didn't break out. This wasn't an accident. These were thugs. They interviewed one of their political analysts, I can't remember his name, and he, in my opinion, he was a racist. He was an African-American racist, okay? And he was saying, well, they're telling Anderson Cooper, the only reason they're doing this is because they feel like they don't get hurt unless they yell. They weren't yelling. They were burning down buildings. They were shooting firearms. And he said the system failed them. The system didn't fail them. It went according to how the system is supposed to work. Officer Wilson had been assaulted by Michael Brown. Michael Brown was a thug who had just committed a robbery, okay? Who tried to take Officer Wilson's gun, all right? Michael Brown was a thug, and the CNN showing this cute little teenage boy picture is so egregious. Rather than show this happy 14-year-old boy, why don't they show the footage of him getting in the altercation with the store owner just before he had the altercation with Officer Wilson? You have to wonder if Eric Holder or President Obama would be happier if Wilson did not shoot at Michael Brown and kill him in self-defense and Brown had gotten to the cop. I mean, at that point, what do you think would have happened, friend? Michael Brown already tried to get his gun once, discharged the firearm. From what I heard last night, that the firearm went off in the police car. Brown was struggling to get it, probably to kill Wilson. Let's look at the president's speech. Use as much time as we can on this. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to stop and start it and then comment as we go.
As all of you know, a few minutes ago, the grand jury deliberating the death of Michael Brown issued its decision. It's now come that either way was going to be subject of intense disagreement, not only in Ferguson, but across America. So I just want to say a few words suggesting how we might move forward. First and foremost, we are a nation built on the rule of law.
I think that this was the president trying to interject comic relief right off the bat. This from our imperial president, our dictatorial president who just ignored the Constitution and broke the law to summarily grant amnesty to 5 million people. But I digress.
And so we need to accept that this decision was the grand jury's to make. There are Americans who agree with it, and there are Americans who are deeply disappointed, even angry.
Not that it was theirs to make only, obviously it was theirs to make, but that he could have said, and I'm going to focus on the things that he could have said, because I believe his words actually are stoking racial tension and are stoking the African-American community. He could have said it was, the grand jury made their decision based upon the evidence that they had. That's all he had to say. As a lawyer, President Obama is a lawyer, all right? As a lawyer, all he had to say was, I know that there are a lot of Americans who disagree with this decision, but the grand jury made their decision to not indict based upon the evidence that they saw. Instead, he just stokes the fire.
It's an understandable reaction. But I join Michael's parents in asking anyone who protests this decision to do so peacefully. Let me repeat Michael's father's words.
Now, he's going to give a platform to the dad, all right? He's going to stoke the fires of racism by quoting the dad. There's any number of jurists he could quote. There's any number of situations in history that he could quote. He could look back to the Boston Massacre. Instead, he's going to quote the dad, the President of the United States. Let's go on, and then I'll take a break.
Hurting others or destroying property is not the answer. No matter what the grand jury decides, I do not want my son's death to be in vain. I want it to lead to incredible change, positive change, change that makes the St. Louis region better for everyone. Now, Michael Brown's parents have lost more than anyone.
Hope and change. Remember the president back in 2008? Hope and change, that was his theme. So here he gets to talk about change once again, as if what happened with Officer Wilson and Michael Brown is still somehow emblematic of lynchings of African American men by the Ku Klux Klan or by law enforcement agents in the deep antebellum South or after the war, or law enforcement during the Jim Crow era. He's a black president, for goodness sake, okay? There were 3 African Americans that heard the evidence on the grand jury. And this is his moment to insinuate through the parents' words, through the dad's word, that their son doesn't have to die in vain, that we really need change in America. Yeah, we need change. We need African American dads to get off of their hind ends and start being responsible in raising their sons. That's some of the change that we need, Mr. Obama. Look at the statistics on how many young African American men are involved in crimes, that are in jail, in prison, on probation, on parole, and then look at how many of them come from a fatherless home. Look at how many of them are the sons of deadbeat dads who are sexual predators moving around from woman to woman. Just do a little statistical analysis of that and then talk to us about change. I'll be right back. Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today.